Hi guys. Hi. Hi guys. Hello guys. Hi. Hello. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing good. Today, I'm just going to be reading to you from this book called Honoring the Self. Honoring the Self, Self-Esteem and Personal Transformation by Nathaniel Branden. Nathaniel Branden, from the best-selling author of The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. Self-concept is destiny. What is the most important judgment you will ever make? The judgment you pass onto yourself. Self-esteem is the key to success or failure. It's so true. I definitely need to read this, so I thought we could read it together. So, these are our contents. We have an introduction, the dynamics of self-esteem, the struggle for individuation, and egoism. I've never heard that word, individuation. I've literally never heard that word. Okay, that's acknowledgements. Should we read the introduction or should we just skip? I think I'll just skip the introduction. I usually do. Okay. Chapter 1. Self-esteem in human life. Let's begin. The greatest evil that can befall a man is that he should come to think ill of himself, wrote Kioth. While he may have been defying certain religious beliefs, he was acknowledging a profound truth about human nature. The greatest barrier to achievement and success is not lack of talent or ability, but rather the fact that achievement and success above a certain level are outside our self-concept, our image of who we are and what is appropriate to us. The greatest barrier to love is the secret fear that we are unlovable. The greatest barrier to happiness is the wordless sense that happiness is not our proper destiny. This, in simplest statement, is the importance of self-esteem. So we must begin by understanding what self-esteem is. Unfortunately, like so many other terms in psychology, there is no generally agreed upon definition, and the assumption that we all know what it means is mistaken. If we were to ask anyone what self-esteem means, we might receive an answer such as, I feel competent, sure of myself, or I like myself, or thinking I'm superior to other people. The first two statements would not be wrong, but would be incomplete. The third would simply be false. A person who does not feel competent in the performance of some particular task, such as flying an airplane, designing a computer program, or operating a business, does not necessarily suffer from poor self-esteem, but a physically healthy person who feels fundamentally inadequate due to the normal challenges of life, such as earning a living, most certainly does. A person who feels undeserving of some particular award or honor, such as the Nobel Prize or universal adulation for having dashed off a fairly simple love song, again does not necessarily lack good self-esteem. But a person who feels undeserving of happiness, who feels unworthy of any joy or reward in life, surely has a self-esteem deficiency. Self-esteem is a concept pertaining to a fundamental sense of efficacy and a fundamental sense of worth, to competence and worthiness in principle. I trust my mind to make the choices and decisions that will guide my life is a very different statement in terms of self-esteem from I feel very confident to deal with the problems posed by molecular biology. I feel entitled to assert my own legitimate needs and wants is very different from I am entitled to $10 million. High self-esteem can best be understood as the integrated sum of self-confidence and self-respect. Self-confidence is consciousness evaluating the efficacy of its own operations when applied to the task of understanding and dealing with reality. Am I competent to know? Am I competent to choose? To chart the course of my life? To satisfy my needs? Self-respect is the feeling of personal worth. It is appropriate that I should be happy, that others should find me lovable, that I should be treated with respect, that my needs and wants should matter to those who are close to me. In sum, self-esteem is an evaluation of my mind, my consciousness, and in a profound sense, my person. It is not an evaluation of particular success or failures, nor is it an evaluation of particular knowledge or skills. Thus, I can be very confident of myself at the fundamental level and yet be uncertain of my abilities in specific social situations. And conversely, I can outwardly revel in my social savoir-faire, yet inwardly be self-doubting and insecure. Going still further, I can be universally loved and yet not love myself. I can be universally admired and yet not admire myself. I can be widely regarded as brilliant and yet think myself intellectually inadequate. I can be a high achiever and yet feel like a failure because I have not lived up to my own standards. Living up to my own standards is, as we shall see when we consider the factors that enhance or diminish self-esteem, an essential condition of high self-esteem. The notion that my self-esteem is simply a function of how others see and evaluate me is false. I have said that positive self-esteem is the experience that I am competent to live and worthy of happiness, or to express the same thought a little differently, that I am appropriate to life and its requirements and challenges. It would be more precise to say that positive self-esteem is the disposition to experience myself in this way, since, like any other feeling or state, it is not experienced with equal intensity at all times. Self-esteem is an orientation towards the self. Self-esteem is the ultimate ground of consciousness, ground to all particular experience. This is the single most important thing to be understood about its role in human psychology. To experience that I am competent to live means that I have confidence in the functioning of my mind. To experience that I am worthy of living means that I have an affirmative attitude towards my right to live and to be happy. In contrast to this experience, to have poor self-esteem is to feel that I am inappropriate to life, that I am wrong, not wrong about an issue or a piece of knowledge, but wrong as a person. That's how I feel. Wrong in my being. I thus respond to the challenges and joys of existence with a fundamental sense of inadequacy and unworthiness. Of course, I may elect to judge myself by such relatively superficial criteria as success or failure at specific tasks, my ability to elicit love, admiration, or approval, and so forth. But to do so is already to have a problem in self-esteem, as we shall see when I discuss pseudo-self-esteem. Besides which, the people we are most likely to admire are precisely those who manage to persevere in faithfulness to their own vision, without a good deal of positive reinforcement, without the understanding of others, their approval, or their applause. In fact, often in the face of hostility and opposition. When we see those who possess a fundamental certainty about themselves that remain relatively untouched by the vicissitudes of life, we sense that an unusual psychological achievement is involved. We may or may not identify that what we are looking at is high self-esteem. To the extent that we trust the efficacy of our mind, we persevere when faced with difficult or complex challenges, and we are likely to succeed more often than fail, confirming and reinforcing our sense of efficacy. High self-esteem seeks the stimulation of demanding goals. To the extent that we doubt the efficacy of our minds, we do not persevere, and we are likely to fail more often than succeed. I already read that. Low self-esteem typically seeks the safety of the familiar and undemanding. For example, two persons go to work in the same office. The first seeks to learn everything relevant to the job for which he had been hired, to expand his knowledge continually, and to keep searching for more effective ways to do the task he has been given. The second is concerned primarily with not drawing negative attention to himself. Beyond that, his policy is to get by with as little effort as possible. To him, a job is a refuge, not an opportunity. The first will not be bewildered by his success. The second may profess to be bewildered by his failure. If I enjoy healthy self-esteem, I value rather than am threatened by the same trait in others. People with poor self-esteem end up in the company of their own kind. Shared fear and insecurity reinforce negative self-assessments. And if I feel loving and if I feel lovable and deserving of respect, I treat others well and expect them to treat me well. But if I feel unlovable and undeserving of respect and I'm treated poorly, I put up with it and feel it is my fate. Low self-esteem tends to generate depression and anxiety. To feel that I am significantly devoid of efficacy and worth is almost inevitably to experience existence as frightening and futile. And while good self-esteem is only one of the elements necessary for happiness and does not necessarily guarantee happiness in and of itself, a high level of self-confidence and self-respect is intimately related to the ability to enjoy life and to find sources of satisfaction in our existence. High self-esteem is a powerful force in the service of life. I think I'll stop there. Okay, we're on page 6. I just finished 6, so I guess we're on 7. I hope you guys enjoyed this little reading. I hope it was relaxing. I hope you guys like this because I do want to read more on camera, so we'll see, because this video might flop, and if it does, then I'll probably unless I get a few comments of people that really enjoyed this one, then I'll definitely keep reading it. Just let me know if you guys want me to continue reading or not. Okay, let's say goodbye now. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.